Hi Weebies, happy Tuesday. Today we're going to be reading a story called The Way of an Ant. The Way of an Ant. And it's the author, or the one who writes the book, is Kazuo Mizumura. And the one who illustrated, or drew the pictures, is by Laurel Aiyo. And it starts. Once there was a young ant who wanted to climb as high as the blue sky. He started to climb the tallest blade of grass he could find. So there's a little ant and there's the grass. When he reached the tip of the grass, he looked and saw that a dandelion stood even higher. He raced down the ground and started to climb up the dandelion. See, so it's like a flower. You have these outside in your yard probably. So remember, higher, that means even higher. When he reached to the top of the dandelion, he looked up, and there against the sky, he saw a rose, stretching its stem as high as it could go. He hurried down to the ground and started to climb up the stem of the rose. Remember, roses are these pretty flowers right here. He reached the rose, he stopped a while and smelled its petals. Then he thought he saw the sun in the sky, but it was only a sunflower's golden ring shining high above the rose. He tumbled down to the ground and started to climb the sunflower. So see, the little ant wants to go higher and higher, as high as he could. So that's why he keeps climbing up. When he reached the face of the sunflower, a gnarled branch of an apple tree with 3 green apples hung over him. He quickly ran down to the ground and started to climb up the apple tree. You guys see the apples? How many did he say? 3, right? 1, 2, 3. So there he goes, oh ant. When he reached the top of the apple tree, he looked up and saw a maple tree shading him from the sky with its fan-like leaves. He rushed down to the ground and started to climb up the maple tree. Oh my gosh. Look, he wants to go higher and higher. Whoa. When he reached to the top of the maple tree, he took a deep breath and looked around for the sky. But there was an enormous oak tree. Enormous means big. Oak tree towering over the whole field. He ran down to the ground. He dashed across the field and he started to climb up the enormous oak tree, or big. You see, this is the oak tree. When he reached the top of the oak tree, which is this one, he was very tired. But the higher he climbed, the higher he wanted to climb. So see, he's on top of the oak tree. You can see? He looks very tired and he's sweating. Then he saw a pine tree on a faraway hilltop, reaching up to the sky. He went down again to the ground. He ran to the hilltop and he started to climb up the pine tree. You guys see the pine tree? You see, he wants to go higher and higher. When he reached the top of the pine tree, there was a blue sky as far as he could see. And there were mountains beyond mountains, and trees beyond trees. Enough for him to climb forever. You see? So he's really high and this is all he can see. At last, he understood. As long as he kept on climbing, the blue sky grew higher and higher. He slowly turned his head and looked behind him. We can never get too high, right? And behind him, he saw the pine tree, the oak tree, the maple tree, the apple tree, the sunflower, the rose, the dandelion, and the grass. So remember? So he's on the pine tree, and he says he sees the oak tree, the maple tree, the apple tree, the sunflower, the rose, the dandelion, and the grass. So you see how it gets from small Too big? How surprised he was to see how hard he had tried. How happy he was to have climbed so high. Oh look, he's up here and he's happy that he did all that work. But now he was much older and he was a little wiser. And he would climb no more. He started down the tree, and on the way he met a young ant rushing and puffing to climb up the sky. The old ant smiled and nodded at the young ant, and he passed without saying a word. See, there's the young ant, here's the old ant now. He wanted to let him because he wanted him to experience all that, right? So keep trying, okay, weebies?